Hi everyone, it's Thursday and I'm back for our mini training today. I realized watching the last one, or like when I was making this, that sometimes I do these like I'm just recording them, talking to myself, and then post them and then I'll comment and stuff after. But I realized I think it's super sweet, those of you that catch me live and take the time out of your day to do that is so awesome. I know Mary popped on last week during it, and so I'll try to also do a better job of acknowledging you when you pop on. I know sometimes when I do a live video, I don't even want people to know I'm in there. I just want to hear what's going on. So I just figured I'd make a point to say I'll try to do better at that. I'm still working out this whole thing and figuring out how I want these to go, but I hope you guys are enjoying them. Today, we're going to talk all about how to master mindful eating. I did put in there that it is part 1 because there's 7 general tips. I don't know if I'll cover all of them, but I wanted to definitely just make it a little bit of a series so I didn't go on too long one week or another on a certain topic because I tend to ramble. So, that being said, I'll probably take a look at today's feedback, see what you guys are thinking, if you're liking it, or if you even are enjoying this topic, and kind of keep diving into it if that's the case and sprinkle it out, or maybe just do one more and call it a day. We'll see. So I think it's important first we talk about why do we even want to practice mindful eating. There are so many benefits, and I'm just going to cover a couple. So when we take the time to be present and aware of eating our food and what we're eating versus I'm not shaming anyone here. I've definitely been guilty before where you're literally driving in your car, eating out of a Pyrex container, trying to get to the next thing. I get it. We all have a life. We're all very busy. But that might not be the most healthy approach to do all of the time, right? So thinking about mindful eating, what does that do for us? 1, it usually aids in better digestion and overall stress reduction, which is wonderful. It helps us to better differentiate between hunger and fullness levels because you're actually taking the time to slow it down usually. So then you give your brain a chance to catch up with your stomach because there is a little bit of a lag time. I'm sure you've experienced that before. And if we kind of slow everything down and stay present with our meals, we can also decrease that bloated and maybe gassy symptoms that happen after a meal. And also when we slow things down and we give our brain a chance to catch up with our stomach, there is a huge reduction in overeating or binge type eating behaviors because it takes a lot of work to overeat if you're already full. So no one really likes to feel uncomfortable or, isn't trying to do that every meal. So when you slow it down a second and give your brain a chance to catch up, you tend to not overeat as much, which is a wonderful feeling. Also, it sounds kind of funny, but there is an increase in satisfaction with your food when you mindfully eat, and you start to learn this feeling of contentment, which I think is a skill in itself. It sounds kind of funny saying that, but I had a conversation with someone a long time ago about how most humans don't feel content when they eat, and I think that that's completely valid in the sense we have to train ourselves to sometimes learn what that feels like and practice it. If you have a behavior of over or under eating, just learning what being content feels like. Precision Nutrition has a great rule of thumb, eating to 80% full, just to help avoid that over bingy, overeating type feelings. So that's also very helpful. And when you take the time to be more present with your food, you typically end up making healthier food choices. So I know that was kind of a lot to digest, no pun intended, but I think it's important to know why do we want to mindfully eat. And I think you can consider mindfully eating another tool in your tool belt. You don't have to say I only track macros, so I'm not going to mindfully eat ever, or I only mindfully eat, I'm never going to track macros. I even have some people that track macros and then maybe have 2 meals a week that they practice literally mindfully eating. Or there's you can still track macros and mindfully eat. So there's a lot of different ways to do this, and I think it's best to practice and figure out what things work best for you. So I'm gonna go in the order that are like the 7 recommended ways to start mindfully eating. So I didn't come up with these, and they're in this order, but you can, maybe take whatever resonates with you. But I think it's important to try all of them and give them like a valid effort, and then you could decide what works best for you. So the first one, it might sound super dorky, but I actually love it and I kind of suck at it. So it's honor the food, right? Like I said, super dorky, but I always say you cooking a homemade meal is probably like the best form of self-care that you can actually give yourself. So I think it's important, like I don't even know if I do a really good job at this, but just acknowledging where the food came from, where it was grown, and who prepared the meal just kind of starts off with a little bit of gratitude and presence of like, you're not thinking about what you need to do for work. You're not thinking about where your kids need to go next. You're literally just thinking about you and your food. And I think that sets the pace for a really good mindful meal, right? So that's the first one, and I think it's often overlooked. So maybe even just taking the time, you don't have to get super wahoo-y with it, but just having a moment of gratitude there and acknowledgement, I think will go a long way. That like you're almost telling your brain, this is what you're doing now, and we're not doing anything else. So I love that you're just setting the tone, because the second one is a little more detailed and it is really, really, really helpful. And I personally have enjoyed this a ton. So engaging all your senses at your meals. So it sounds funny, but I'm just going with the 5 basic senses: smell, taste, touch, sight, and hearing, right? So typically you probably aren't going to hear much at your meal, but it's important maybe like listen around you, like what's happening, just to like set the tone. Or, if you have like a sizzler platter at home, like maybe that's exciting and whatever, you're kind of getting that hearing engaged, but you might not hear it as often as you think, or maybe you crack something open or peel something, like just start to engage with that. Sight is pretty easy, and I bet we all do that already. Like you're planning out your plate. I think there's something to be said too with like making the plate look how you want to, is really, really helpful, right? Like you tend to make like better choices when you want your plate to look like prepared for you, and smell, of course, take a minute. Like there's some other stuff we'll get into and little things you can do, but some people like to encourage like taking 2 deep breaths before your meal. You can do that too, and just take a moment to stop and smell the food, like someone took the time to prepare it, and I bet it smells delicious. So might as well, right? Taste, of course, we'll get more into this too, and probably part 2. Really like chewing your food, and it sounds kind of dorky or whatever. You don't have to like be so dramatic about it, but it's funny, but I think a lot of times we don't even taste our food because we're like so busy and rushing, and I am totally guilty of being a speed eater. So definitely like taking the time to actually enjoy how it tastes too, I think also gives people permission to understand that they like deserve to eat no matter what they did that day. So just taking the time to acknowledge that taste, I think, can help you be present there. And then the last one I actually find fascinating. It sounds super dorky, but maybe this is like the inner child in me, but it's like touch. So it's like being able to pick up your food and like eat with touching your food. I think sometimes that's like frowned upon. Like, of course, maybe if you're on like a date, you don't want to like get after it and have a bunch of chicken wings or something. But I feel like being able to and like have one part of the meal that you're actually touching just incorporates another sense and helps keep you present with what you're currently doing. So my little like go-to tip there is to maybe save the portion of fruit for touch because it's the least messy. So sometimes if I have like, shaved turkey or something, I don't mind eating that and like crackers with my hands, but I don't want to usually eat like my chicken thighs or, you know, mashed potatoes with my hands, but like green beans or like you're serving a fruit for your complete meal would be easy and kind of a cleaner way to be able to do that. So that was a lot to take in. I always feel like I'm rambling because I'm talking to myself here, but that's okay. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. So just to recap, the two main ones we're starting with is to honor the food and engage all your senses. So I would encourage you, not like you have to like go do this for homework, but something to think about. And hopefully this is in the forefront of your brain the next time you're making your meals for yourself, to either try one or the other, or maybe if you've never put your fork down and picked up your hand for your food, give that a try. Let me know how it goes. I always love to hear feedback in the comments, or if you want to shoot me a DM. I will save this right now, post it to Facebook and YouTube, and share it on Instagram, and then share next week. So hopefully you guys are enjoying these, and then I will see you next Thursday.